Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 113. I am Brendan. Today we're going to go over UFC 273 Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie, the prelims. If you are just seeing this and you want to go just to the main card, I already put that video up. If you watched that already, awesome. I love you. Thank you for watching that. And this one should be a lot shorter. I have not been going as in-depth into the prelim fights because people are just less interested in them in general. They just don't watch them as much, and therefore me spending a ton of time trying to break them down. Like, nobody's really interested in that yet. So if somebody does become, or if a lot of people do become interested, I will spend more time doing that. Speaking of which, please like the video, subscribe. It means a lot to me because it lets me know that you guys do watch these videos, that you pay attention to these things, and that I should keep doing them in the future. So the prelims were all right. Okay, so the first one we're going to go over is Ian Garry versus Darian Weeks, which was the main event on the prelims. And pull up the stats here. So, good fight, by the way. I think Darian Weeks looked really good. Ian Garry is the future. I mean, both literally and figuratively. He thinks he's the future of the division, the welterweight division, and that's his nickname, obviously, right here. So that's part of it. They were even on strikes, in my opinion, I thought, in the first. But, here we go again. I already stated this in my other video. Darian Weeks just took the center of the octagon, and he was moving forward, and apparently Garry outstruck him. I didn't think he did. I thought Weeks, kept 1 for 1. But, I gave the first round possibly to Weeks. But Garry, let's see. So I had it even on strikes, and I gave. I thought Weeks had the clinch. I thought he was ahead on strikes, and he did have the clinch advantage, and he was being aggressive. So I gave him the first round, but I could see not giving him that first round. Second round was more of the same, but Garry increased his output. He was outstriking him, so I thought the judges were going to give the credit to Weeks because he just kept moving forward, but I was wrong, luckily, because I felt that Garry had won that second round, and if you look on the striking numbers here, 20-10, it did play out that way as far as the official numbers go. So the last round, Garry started to really hit his rhythm, so he started finding his range, able to get enough done, do some real damage to him, and land some really good shots. I think at one point he even put him down. So Weeks is no joke. He's very good, so that's cool. It's a good win for him. Garry's very good, and he has a lot of positives for him. And I think he looked better in this fight than he did in his last. He still had a bloody nose, which means he was getting caught, but I don't think he was getting caught as much as he did in the last fight. And on top of that, I think he was smarter in this one and not brawling as much. Now, going forward, I don't know how he's obviously not ready for the upper echelon of this division as much as he's calling them out and saying, like, I'm the future of this division and I'm going to kill everybody and blah, 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 blah. He's not going in there and wrecking people like Hamzat did, so that's not how this should go down. I think that more than likely he's going to be a contender if he continues to improve. Right? I think his head is still is too much on the center line when he, and he moves back and he plays the counter game too much. I think he needs to work in some aggressiveness to that. I think he needs to work in some more grappling. And then, his power is not bad. His vision's really good. He just needs to be more useful with his, be more aggressive and be more assertive with his striking without throwing himself into danger. And I feel like he can take it to the next level. As of right now, I don't think he's a top 15 guy in the welterweight division. I mean, it's a packed division, right? This is probably one of the best divisions in the UFC is welterweight. And we're looking at, and I wouldn't be doing this right? I wouldn't be comparing him to the top 15 if he himself wasn't calling out basically the entire division, saying like, oh, I'm going to be champ and all this stuff. So let's look. Do you think he does anything with Shavkat? No. Santiago Ponzinibbio, I think he gets smoked. Jingliang, maybe he could win that fight. Jeff Neal, I think he loses that one. Shemaev, I think he loses. Chiesa, Magny, Brady, everybody up here. I think he loses to almost everybody in the top 15. So pump the brakes, and we'll see how things go in the future for him. As of right now, I think he's a good prospect, and he's a little bit raw, and he needs some work. And, he's Irish, and he's got, drawing comparisons to Conor McGregor. He's not that either. He's more respectful. I think he's more disciplined, but not as dynamic. Or maybe it's just, he's... I don't think he's as many levels ahead of his opponents as Conor McGregor was when he first entered the UFC. So good win for him. I am excited to see him in the future. I think he is a very good fighter. So he's a fun guy to watch, and I enjoy watching him fight. So cool. Moving on. Anthony Hernandez versus Josh Fremd. This fight was really fun. People on Twitter really like this one. So here's what's funny. Watching this live, I gave the first round to Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez got the win via unanimous decision, rightfully so in my opinion. The first round, Fremd looked really lost out there, and I know, in his debut, but Hernandez was just dominating, mostly grappling, but it was even on the feet. So I said, I was like, oh man, it looked pretty even on the feet, and look, the numbers, 17-16, so almost a dead heat, and obviously the grappling advantage was huge. Look at the control time in this entire fight, 10 minutes and 45 seconds. In the first round, he was just all over him for 4 minutes. Second round, on the other hand, Fremd did more grappling of his own, and he actually had the advantage when it came to the grappling exchanges. And, it was even on the striking numbers. I thought round 2 could have been a coin flip. Fremd had a big comeback in round 2, but I don't think it was enough. So I gave the second round to Hernandez as well, because I feel like he owned more of that round. Even though Fremd had more time in control, it felt like Hernandez did more, even though, again, the damage was even. If you gave that second round to Fremd, not mad. And then in the third round, it was just complete domination. Hernandez just rolling around with him, pretty much, rotating back and forth, doing whatever he wanted. It's just complete domination for Hernandez. Good fight, though. Anthony Hernandez coming off of a long layoff. And I think he looked fantastic. All right, Aspen Ladd taking on Raquel Pennington. This Aspen Ladd made weight, so she had the first battle. So that's cool. Raquel Pennington kind of stepping up on relative short notice. She what was it, like a week, 3 weeks? She did not have a long time to prepare for this, but she stepped up because it was supposed to be Irene Aldana. So Aspen Ladd still took the fight, so kudos to her, but she did not get the win. Pennington got the win here. In the first round, Rocky was landing some good shots. Ladd just didn't have good striking. She just doesn't have good striking for point fighting, right? She does land heavy shots and she hits hard. She's very strong, but if she's going to try and point fight and outstrike people, she's got to improve a lot. Raquel Pennington had some really good, so I gave it 10-9 in the first round to Raquel Pennington. You look at the striking numbers here, 40-20. I don't think Aspen Ladd landed anything of crazy significance that outweighs those 20 shots that that 20-shot deficit that she had. In the second round, I felt like Pennington did just as good, if not better. I said she had some really good shots and a ton of volume in the second round, and you look, it plays out in the numbers here, 49-26 in favor of Pennington. So I had her up 20-18. All she had to do was make it to the last round. Ladd was more successful and had some decent grappling, and she probably got the last round in my opinion. So I gave it 29-28 Raquel. Here's something cool. Not cool, just interesting. Raquel Pennington got her hand broken on Ladd's first kick. So obviously Ladd kicks hard, cool. But the very first kick she blocked from Aspen Ladd, Pennington broke her hand, her right hand, and still kept throwing it. She is tough as fucking nails, dude. Like, that's crazy. You know, her hands busted up the entire for basically 15 minutes. She has one hand, and she was still throwing the broken one. It's just bananas. So good on Pennington getting the win, getting it done. It's unfortunate that her significant other, Tisha Torres, did not get the judge's decision, even though she deserved it. So could have had a double there. Anyway. All right. Mickey Gall versus Mike Malott. Mickey Gall, I don't know what to make of him, man. I really don't. I think he's had his moments in the UFC, and I feel like he's looked good back and forth. But if he lost, he got knocked out in the first round here. Did not look good. I think he could get cut. To be honest with you, he's got he was a part of that whole CM Punk. If you look back here, he was a part of that whole CM Punk experiment. He fought Mike Jackson, who was like a no-name guy. So he could have one professional win or one win in the UFC, and then he fought CM Punk and destroyed him. Then he fought Sage Northcutt, who, if you guys don't know, was this he had all the hype in the world, and he was this like crazy athletic and muscular kid who was like super polite and whatever. Anyway, he ends up beating Sage Northcutt, so people are like, "Whoa, he's the real deal." And he gets paired against a guy named Randy Brown, who is, if you know, insanely skilled. So that was a rough one. George Sullivan, that's a nothing. Then loses to Diego Sanchez. He can't get the wins against guys who against good competition. So I don't know if he gets cut necessarily because he's traded wins and losses. This is the first time he's lost 2 in a row. So maybe he doesn't. But it's not that I think it's an experiment with him necessarily. I said he was a part of the CM Punk experiment. I think that Mickey Gall has a lot of skills, and he's very good on the ground. And I just don't think he's a, before it was because he was, young. But now he's not that young anymore. He's 30 years old. He's getting into his athletic prime. He's pretty much set in stone as far as like skills. Like, he can still learn, obviously, but I think we've seen what Mickey Gall is, and that's just a middling journeyman. I don't think he's ever gonna, unless something crazy happens. Like, I know he's training with a new camp now. I just don't see it. He doesn't take his head off the center line. Because of that, he gets touched a lot, and it's not conducive to a long career in the UFC or in any organization for that matter, especially being healthy. It's just his striking has always been his weakness, and his grappling is good, but his wrestling isn't so far advanced that he can just, Colby Covington or Kamaru Usman everybody around, and it's just not working out. So I don't think maybe I was a little bit harsh. Maybe he doesn't get cut. Maybe he shouldn't get cut yet. I mean, let's give him at least one more fight. Give him another full camp. Let him build up some skills. Let's see if we can tighten some of that striking stuff up. And maybe he can be, instead of a middling contender, maybe he can be like an upper tier, a middling journeyman. Maybe he could be an upper tier journeyman, right? Somebody who you test new prospects on to see if they're ready for the big show, right? So going forward, maybe that's what we do. I say we like I'm making these decisions. What a doof. I'm an idiot. All right, we had the heavyweights banging it out here. Alexei Oleynik versus Jared Vanderaa. Old man getting it done again. Oleynik just doing it. Doing the damn thing. Let's look. How old is he? 50? Right? Well, his birthday's close to mine. Oh, holy crap. Oh, no, 45, sorry. When I was just looking at it, he had 3. I didn't realize he had 3 losses in a row. Wow, this was, a big one for him. Yeah, look at this. 2 wins, loss. 2 wins, loss. 2 wins, 2 losses. 2 wins, 3 losses. He's been a decent heavyweight in the UFC. He's beaten some good guys. Yeah, he especially early on in his UFC career, which looking back, holy moly, that was 8 years ago. Wow. He's been in the UFC for 8 years. I feel like he's a new guy in the UFC. I'm old. God dang. With this, he got the scarf hold finish here. It was just, I wrote down, old man gets it done after getting smashed. He finished him with a scarf hold. So he was getting kind of tagged on the feet, and then he pulls guard, and then gets hit on, he gets his back taken by Vanderaa, but then kind of squirts out the bottom and then reverses the position and then hops over into the scarf hold, and that's actually one of his favorite techniques. I know he's known for the Ezekiel, but he apparently is very good at the scarf hold too. What's interesting about this is he has 5 different submission finishes in his UFC career. Only 4 other fighters in UFC history have ever done that. Doesn't necessarily mean you're the greatest fighter or anything. Doesn't mean it's necessarily that impressive, other than it's just cool. I think it's cool that he has that variety of finishes. Oh, and he's also funny because after Rogan was like, he's like, how long do you plan on doing this? He's like, oh, not very long, 5 or 10 years. Or 4 or 5 years, something like that. Dude's, he's still got a sense of humor, which is hilarious. All right, Pierre Rodriguez versus Kay Hansen. This fight did take place at strawweight, but Hansen missed weight. She came in at 118, so a weight miss for her, not a good look. First round, grappling advantage for Kay looked good in that round. I gave Hansen the first round, but the second 2 rounds, Hansen gave up her back and lost the ground game in the second, and then Piera just ended up winning. She had damage and control in this final round. You can see that 14-7 in the final round. So what do we say about Kay Hansen here? She wins her UFC debut, but then loses to Corey McKenna, Jasmine Jessidovicius, and then Pierre Rodriguez. So she's in a competitive division. She dropped down in weight to the competitive division. Do they give her another shot and let her try to make it? I know she has extracurriculars where she's trying to be successful at. So I don't know. I she's so young. I don't know if they cut her. Maybe she goes over to Invicta or something, and then comes back when she's ready. She's just a really raw talent, and she needs some work. All right. First fight on the card. Julio Arce versus Daniel Santos. Arce missed weight. This was supposed to take place at bantamweight. I mean, it did take place at bantamweight, but he did not make the weight. Arce missed it by half a pound. He came in at 136.5. They did not let him come back to weigh in again because he looked so shitty on the scale. So I had Santos winning for most of the round with the pressure and outstriking. But Arce landed a few really good shots near the end of the round, and he rocked him. So if you look at these striking numbers, I don't know what I was smoking. Apparently, I was watching a different fight. Arce clearly won all 3 rounds. I wrote, have to see the striking numbers for round 2, but they looked even. I don't know what I was watching. Over here, they're not even. 41-18, 47-14. Maybe the ones from Santos were all getting blocked, and I thought they landed. I could have been wrong. I had Arce. So Arce was moving backwards the entire time, and he was on his bicycle, and he was like dodging, and like Santos just kept barreling forward and trying to land stuff, and he was just Santos looks athletic, and he has a lot of talent. It's just he needs to learn how to put it together a little bit better. Especially against someone like Arce, who's going to just use that aggression against him. I always wonder, and I mean, we know what it looks like when two counter-strikers face off and we get this really shitty fight. I always wonder what happens when, that guy keeps backing up, and then you just stand there. What's he going to do? You going to move forward, or are you just going to keep backing up? So I was kind of waiting to see if Santos would actually stop chasing him, but never did, never was able to cut him off. So... It was an okay fight. It was actually a fun fight to watch. So that should be free on ESPN Plus. All these fights were free on should be free on ESPN Plus. So some of them are worth watching. Skip through the boring stuff. You don't have to watch everything. Anyway, that is all. Those are the prelims. If you made it through this video, you're awesome. Can't believe you watched an entire video about prelims. I really appreciate you. Please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe, like the video. I put at least one of these out every single week. I go over every single UFC card. I've been going over every Bellator card now. I'm going to cover the PFL. I might do Karate Combat. I might do shorter videos on these. I'm doing every Eagle FC that takes place in the United States. I'm going to try to do more MMA coverage in general, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys subscribe. Let me know that you guys do watch these. And let me know what you thought. What do you think about these prelims? What do you think about the card in general? What other organizations are you interested in hearing coverage of? If you want me to make shorter videos, maybe I'll make like 10-minute ones where I'm just blasting through results and maybe picking out like prospects from like Titan FC because I did just subscribe to Fight Pass again. So with all that, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome week.